Everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I must say it's a pleasure to be here. In essence, that to see familiar faces and some of the faces that I've never seen before. Um, Standing at this podium gives me great pleasure, in the sense that it has to do with what we all talk about all the time, and that's Nigeria. Not just Nigeria, but the entire black race as well, starting from Africa. The reason why it's important, and I'll tell you this, I often say you find time for the things that are important to you. It's important to you, that's why you're here tonight. Because if it wasn't, you would not pay $25 to come do that. But one of the, thank you. I'm getting over a cold, and when she told me that I must come, I've been sleeping the whole day, and I said, you know what, I have to come, irrespective. Madam said, I'll make pepper soup for you. I said, yes, we'll hold that, but this is important. And because we need to begin to learn to support one another, and stepping up and standing out for one another. I say this, that I have a stake in the future of every black child, because they hold my future and they carry my heritage. So I must begin to speak and talk about my story, your story. Why? Because I'll tell them about my fears, my worries, my successes as well. Because so that they become a part of a more informed society and a more informed race, the human race. Because in another 50, 70, 100 years from here, a lot of us will not be here. But who will carry the history that we're saying and talking about tonight? Who will? They will. Some of these ones who just dance here tonight. And their children and their grandchildren and children's children. So irrespective, the African American child, the Japanese child, the Guyanese child, the Liberian child, they are a heritage, and they carry that heritage. Because without that, a race that do not have a heritage, do not have a story to tell. And that race is at the risk of annihilation and being exterminated. All through the history of the black man, we know that that's the story they've almost carried about us, to exterminate us. And that's why they victimize us. They say things about us. So it becomes easy for them to eliminate us. But because we're a resilient set of people, we're a determined set of people, we're still here and we're thriving. Yes. And guess what? We're thriving in the most advanced and most technologically sound and richest country on earth, in the United States. So the story, what we see, they know your story. I can give you statistics. All the statistics we're saying, are we the ones carrying the records? We're not. They are. They're the ones saying this is. Why do you think they're carrying this, giving those statistics? Because they're afraid of you. Yes. And they're afraid of what you and your generations coming can do. So it's imperative that we must begin to come together. And I say this, there's a reckoning, there's an awakening in the black consciousness. If you don't begin to become part of that consciousness now, you will lose out. So we must begin to be at the forefront of it. And I say this, and some people have heard me say this before, that for any race to advance their cause, they must control 3 M's. One of them is money. The other one is military. The third one is media. Money we don't have, they control. Military, you need money to buy the military. We don't have. Media is where we have a chance to control. Because anything here that's right now, somebody can post it on the internet and everybody see all around the world. And you get informed. You see all the stories that's going on around. Ariakana, all the things waking up everybody. And all the stories that my great brother here, Moses Adeliji is putting out. These are stories that before now, the establishment controlled. But we can't control that. So when I talk about media, It is not just music. We see what the video and Burna Boy and all these things are doing. They're selling our culture. And that's why when these kids dance here today, what song did they dance to? Period. Before now, they used to dance to what kind of songs? So it's different. Things are changing. And when I say there's an awakening and there's a reckoning, that's what we're talking about. So it's coming. So when I talk about media, again, it's in the music. It's in our arts and crafts. It's in our dance. It's in our acting. Nigerian movies are everywhere. Yes. People watch these things. It is also where else? It's in our food. We talk about culture. We talk about this. That's the media we can control. And what's the biggest thing that's bringing on here tonight? It's food. Food, yes. Food and culture. That's part of our media control that we can control as well. So it's important when they say these things, we have to begin to find a way to get into the gear of it, find ways to control it, and take resources about it. Because one of the good things that we must begin to do, other than coming together, is organize. But organizing it is not just enough, but collaborating. And what does that mean when you say collaborate? Meaning you must put your resources together. But doing that, you need a leadership. You need a leader. You need leadership. So often enough, I hear Nigerians, oh, well, I don't like dealing with Nigerians. They're so difficult to deal with. But guess what? Do you deal with every member of your family? Do you trust every member of your family? You don't. Do you trust every member of your family with your money? No. You have those who you can trust. If I talk to Baba Abeji, he will eat my money. I'd rather talk to Tunji because you get the job done. That's the way we should approach the bigger society as well. So that you identify those who have like minds together with you and run together. Because like I said, birds of the same feather do what? Congregate together. So, coming together, that's what it is. I want to set up a business. Oh, guess what? I gave money to this one, they ate my money. Of course. Because one of the biggest issues that we have as our business, we don't do our due diligence. We don't. You wake up one morning, oh, I want to set up this business. Because it sounds like you look at the good parts and everything else. But guess what? What are the other parts? Have you sat down to study location, resources, this, that, your partners? Even your partner come up. Have you sat down to look the background of that your partner and hear what your partner is saying and what your partner is not saying? If your partner is going to sit down, you want to open up a business and you say, oh, okay, it's fine. We'll do this, we'll do that. But at the same time, he's telling you, you know what? I think I may move to Florida because the weather looks nice. Is that the partner you want to set up business with? Because he's telling you something, but you're not saying, you're not listening. So you have to find those who congregate together with you to set up stuff. And that's leadership, taking resources, identifying the resources that you have, and taking advantages of those resources to come up with objectable, achievable, sustainable, and reproducible results. And that's how we need to flow in our community. Because it's important. So, often enough, we as a people, we must advance. We have to. Because guess what? Every other race is doing it. The black race is lagging. Period. Yes. And we know that. But how do we begin to set a standard to advance the black race? And that's why some people say, oh, Dr. Aluya, you're constantly on the road, on the move. I said, yes, because time is of the essence. I'm not as young as I was yesterday. Things are different. So I must do this. Because if I cannot turn the dial, then I'll create a platform for those who will turn the dial, they can stand on it. And I implore each and every one of you today to do that. If you cannot turn the dial, create a platform for those who will turn that dial. Because somebody turned the dial, that's why you're able to sit here today. Yes. Somebody turned the dial, that's why you're able to drive your Mercedes-Benz and sit in the front of the bus. We know the story. What have you done? Okay. What have you done? Because look, across this room tonight, if you look back, you're more educated than your mother and your father. You're more exposed than your father and your mother. You're more enlightened than your father and your mother. So if you can forgive your parents because they did not know, when they see the white man, they were afraid. No, because that's what happens. Because if you look back home, when the white man comes, everybody will sit. If you say you think the white man's thing is better, not to castigate whatever they've done. They are an amazing group of race. But guess what? You can't take that away from them. If they want to advance your race and you don't want to, then that's your problem. But if you must do that, then guess what? You must begin to take stock of your charges. You must. So if you forgive your parents because you think they did not know better, grandma was in the village and all that, would your children forgive you? You know better. You're more read, PhD, doctorate, all. Who you help? Who you help? No, I'm serious. And some people say, oh, I'm getting old. So what? In all your lineage and all the things you've done, what have you done? So if you can forgive your parents, would your children forgive you? Because you know what? 10, 15 years from now, they will now say, oh, my father, my mother did not do anything to put me on that platform so I can do better. So advancing the black cause, and I tell you this, or advancing the black man. The black man, you and everybody else, whether you're a Guyanese, you're a Liberian, you're from Brazil, you, a black person, will not earn the respect you have any day, anytime, anywhere. Why? Until they begin to respect the black man. Until they begin to respect the African. You'll never earn any respect. No matter where you're from. Because they will still look at you through the periscope of an African. Period. And that's why, no matter how far you've achieved in this country, you don't earn no respect. Why? Because it begins here. The destitute, homeless Caucasian on the streets, on Broad Street in New York, feels superior to you, who's educated with a PhD and a director somewhere, who drives a Mercedes-Benz or a Jaguar and lives in a $10 million house. Why do you think so? That he still feels superior. Because it's something inherent that is built in his brain. And inherently, we feel inferior, and that has to change. That has to change. So the question before I end up, the black man would not advance until Africa advances. And Africa will not advance until Nigeria begins to take that charge. And Nigeria and the people in Nigeria understand that they cannot help themselves. But guess what? That's where you, who are in diaspora, come in. Because the Nigeria we know today will never move forward until those in the diaspora begin to take charge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nelson. We are still the